While discussing the topic of server virtualization, most people may only consider and speak of the advantages that come along with it. What is usually hidden and out of sight of these discussions are the many risks associated with server virtualization. There are in fact many circumstances and reasons for which server virtualization would not make sense for an organization. There are many risks involved with server virtualization. You may, for example, find problems undoing what you did. Once the storage on the servers is virtualized, the only person who knows where the data is actually stored is the one who performs the virtualizing. There would also need to be reconstruction of the logical disks onto physical disks that can be used in a conventional way in order to back out of a virtual storage environment. Although backing out of the system is normally possible, it is very time-consuming. When you virtualize your storage, you can only imagine how complex the system must be. Since only the one who performs the virtualizing knows where the data is being stored, isolating problems end up becoming very complex. That is, problems dealing with the systems being independent of the host server which runs on the same hardware. It is easy to get into the habit of not maintaining hardware. Physical drives must be managed and maintained still. In terms of software, some of the implications are very complicated to design and code. Network-based and in-band designs are especially complicated, so read and write requests can lead to latency problems. Latency being the delay in response time. Data is scattered throughout several systems in a storaged virtualized environment, making it so that you do not know exactly where the data is stored and on which hard drive it is being stored. Metadata solves this issue. Your virtualized system uses metadata to map out where data is being stored. Since this way of mapping out where your data is stored is of such importance, metadata must be kept safe, frequently backed up, recoverable, and updated quickly. The reason that metadata must be updated so quickly is because it is of necessity in order for others to access a file saved on a system. This management is very tedious when compared to accessing data in non-virtualized servers, because with non-virtualized servers you know exactly where on your hard drive the data is being stored. Performance problems may also arise within virtualized servers when the system is improperly tuned. Also, storing away or hiding required data for future use, otherwise known as caching, becomes an issue sometimes because this data must be visible to the input-output requests. A performance issue will indeed occur when this request misses cached data and tries to relocate it. Latency issues will also occur when trying to locate data. This will depend on several factors including what the data consists of, where it has been virtualized to, the efficiency of the system, and the overall quality of the equipment. These performance problems, some as small as they may be, are just a few of the risks associated with virtualization. Another risk that may concern you is the total amount of available throughput. Your system's bandwidth may be impacted by the bandwidth into and out of the metadata lookup application. This is more of an issue for symmetric implementations rather than asymmetric systems, because in symmetric ones, throughput is limited by the processing power and the connection bandwidths. Other rather straightforward negative impacts of virtualization include the initial costs associated and the new skills required to work these systems. In terms of costs, although in the long run may very well be cheaper, are very expensive for the initial investment of the SAN. The training involved to run these new systems is rather expensive and as well also rather difficult. Licensing issues can be an issue in your quest to virtualize. Many servers have licensing fees, such as Windows, for example. Depending on how many virtual servers you wish to install on just one physical server, or how many users are connected to the servers will indicate the amount they may have to pay. Of the more severe risks comes along the outage issues and security issues. Since all of your servers are to be virtualized on a single physical machine, an outage to the virtual or storage area network infrastructures could result way more expensively in terms of business practices and monetary costs. Having these virtual machines running on the same infrastructure exposes them to a far greater attack than if they were to be running on separate physical machines. Before an organization decides to virtualize their servers, they must take into account all of these risks and negatives involved with the transformation. Once they realize that for them the benefits will override all of these risks in terms of worthiness, it would be appropriate for them to virtualize. On the other hand, if these risks seem to override the benefits for an organization, then virtualizing their servers would not make sense.